Tennessee Arts Commission. This meeting will be recorded just so that everyone knows. And so here's our agenda for today. We're going to overview who the Tennessee Arts Commission is if you're unfamiliar, who we are here at ArtsBuild if you're unfamiliar, the objectives of this grant, deadlines, eligibility, funding, activities, documents to support, scoring rubric for the grant, the award process, any important website links to help you in your process of applying, and then taking a look at the Tennessee Arts Grant System. So the Tennessee Arts Commission was created in 1967 by the Tennessee General Assembly with a special mandate to stimulate and encourage the presentation of the visual, literary, music, and performing arts, and to encourage public interest in the cultural heritage of Tennessee. Their mission is to cultivate the arts for the benefit of all Tennesseans and their communities. The vision is a Tennessee where arts inspire, connect, and enhance everyday lives. We're very in support of this mission, and we're happy to be working with the Tennessee Arts Commission to administer this grant. Another important detail about the Tennessee Arts Commission is that 80% of Tennessee Arts grants are funded by the purchase of specialty license plates. Hope all of you have purchased a specialty license plate. If you have not, please do. I have not, but I will because of the significant amount of support that goes directly into the Arts Fund that helps create grants like this ArtsBuild Community Grant. So that's just a great detail about the Tennessee Arts Commission. If you didn't know about this, I'm glad you know now so that you can go get your license plate and encourage others to do the same. We love the arts plates, but any specialty license plate goes towards this funding. So ArtsBuild, if you're not familiar, we are ArtsBuild, and our mission is to build stronger communities through the arts. We do this by partnering, which is collaboration to reach creative solutions, advocating, articulating the role of the arts, and building lives in community, connecting, providing arts opportunities for all, educating, cultivating creativity to enhance personal and academic growth, advancing, strengthening the economic environment, and then supporting, generating resources to support arts and culture experiences. To learn more about what we do at ArtsBuild, please visit our website. You all are here, so I'm sure you're subscribed to our newsletter, ArtsWire, but we always post all the things that we're doing here at ArtsBuild on our site for you to learn more information. And just kind of a bit of a more detail on how we fulfill our mission of building stronger communities through the arts. Well, the main entity of what we do is grant making, so funding the arts sector, providing grants and opportunities to support local artists and arts organizations. We do arts education, so we're ensuring that people of all ages have high quality arts education and experiences. One of our biggest programs in the arts education realm is our Imagine program, where we help facilitate field trips to see the arts for elementary school kids, shared services, providing professional training, leadership development, growing new arts and cultures leaders. We have a Holmberg Arts Leadership Institute that introduces those who are unaware of the networks of arts and culture here locally, introduce them, mix and mingle them, and then of course advocacy, making sure that our government and elected officials remember that the arts is essential to our community. We also want to say that ArtsBuild does not and shall not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, creed, gender expression, age, national origin, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, or military status, and any of its activities or operations. These activities include, but are not limited to, hiring and firing of staff, selection of volunteers and vendors, and provision of funding and services. We are committed to providing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all members of our staff, client, volunteers, subcontractors, and vendors. So let's talk more about the grant that you're here to learn about today, the ArtsBuild Communities Grant. We nickname it ABC. So the ABC Grant Program is designed to provide support for arts projects that broaden access to arts experiences. address community quality of life through the arts, or enhance the sustainability of asset-based cultural enterprises. There are 13 designated agencies that administer the ABC grant through the Tennessee Arts Commission. 95 counties are covered. ArtsBuild is in the designated agency of Hamilton County. So if you are interested in the ABC grant, if you are a nonprofit entity, you are in the right place. But if you are not in Hamilton County, then you will need to refer to a different designated agency to apply for the correct grant for your correct county. Please contact me if you're outside of Hamilton County, and we'll make sure that you get directed to the right designated agency for your county so that you can apply for the right grant. But if you are a nonprofit in Hamilton County, you're in the right place, and your designated agency is us, ArtsBuild. And this is just another breakdown of all the counties covered by the Tennessee Arts Commission and the ABC grant. So here are the objectives of this grant. And if at any time you have any questions, please enter them in the chat. Melissa will help me make sure that your chat questions get answered, as well as just unmuting yourself and letting me know that you have a quick question, and we'll take a minute to answer that for you. So our ABC objectives. ABC funds must be used for projects that, one, provide new or innovative arts experience. So examples of this are art festivals, theater performances, concerts, visual art exhibits, and craft shows. Also, projects that affect positive change in community social issues. So examples of this would be projects that contribute positively to community-wide issues such as conversation, health, literacy, etc. And these are very broad categories, but if you contact me and we talk a bit about who you are as a nonprofit entity and what you seek to do with your project for the ABC grant, we can make sure that it falls into these categories and talk about those details together. So we also would like projects that strengthen social networks through community engagement. Examples of this are services that are not normally part of an organization's work, such as lectures or demos, tours, festivals, conferences, and symposias. We also would like projects that enhance a community's identity and development. Some examples of this are community revitalization efforts through the arts, or creative placemaking, or developing a natural resource using arts, or a public art exhibit. And lastly, we also accept projects that offer training for artists or arts administrators. So going through a masterclass program, or creating a makerspace, or an arts incubator. So all organizations applying for our fiscal year of 27, this is the current fiscal year, ABC grants are encouraged to read the Tennessee Arts fiscal year 27 ABC grant guidelines. We'll get to the Tennessee Arts Commission website down the line of this presentation, but it details everything that we're saying here, and so we'll include panel evaluation criteria. Activities must be broadly open to the public and not exclude any individuals from participating. Tennessee Arts Commission is committed to funding projects that serve all Tennessee communities. As a reminder, all grantees offered awards will be responsible for compliance with all applicable state and federal laws. So again, if you're worried about the qualifications of your project for this grant, take a look at that website, look at these criteria points, and make sure that you're eligible. We also have an update project accessibility statement for this fiscal year of the ABC grant application, and it is, how does your program increase participation for those with limited access to the arts? Applicants should explain what limited access to the art looks like in the community served. Note that applicants are encouraged to meet the needs of people in their communities, while arts activities may not exclude individuals from participating. So going into deadlines. So the grant application, ABC, is now open, and it is open through July 1st, 2026. And that's end of day, 11:59 p.m. So we have now through July 1st to submit your applications. Applicants accessing the online grant system for the first time must register an organization and create a profile. Again, we'll look at this down the line after the presentation to make sure you know how to get to the Tennessee Arts Commission website, how to register yourself and create a profile so that you can begin your application. We also offer draft reviews. And so we encourage folks to reach out and email me so that I can review your draft far ahead of our deadline. June 8th by 5 p.m. is our draft review cutoff. And that's letting me know to take a look prior to you submitting it through the Tennessee Arts Commission website to make sure that we meet those accessibility standards that we just talked about and the guidelines that we just talked about. ABC grant tutorials are available on the Tennessee Arts Commission website if you need more step-by-step processes of how to go through this application. So eligibility. This grant is for nonprofit 501c3 legally chartered in Tennessee or local entity of government, government departments, public libraries, public schools, etc. Applying organizations need a unique entity identification number through sam.gov. Your UEI number, while not required to submit an application, the UEI number will be required prior to receiving a grant reward.
Brianna, can I jump in here?
Yes.
Hey there, it's Melissa. I just wanted to talk about the unique entity ID. This is vital for you to be awarded and provided funding. The core of it is that some of the funds through Tennessee Arts Commission have originated from a federal level, so it flows down. And so, as a grantee, you're just as responsible for federal guidelines as the Tennessee Arts Commission. So that's why you need a UEI. And so you should start now if you don't have one. The other thing that you might not realize is that every year you must renew it. So it's a yearly renewal. Doesn't take long generally, but sometimes if you have the wrong address or a person has moved from your organization, it will take longer than needed. And Tennessee Arts Commissions, time-wise, we don't have as much grace as we do with other grants. And so once their deadlines hit, we can't move forward with your grant project. So I would today jump over to sam.gov and either acquire or renew, which that answers Barry's question, and go through the process. If you need support in that, Brianna and I are here to support you to get that completed.
Any other questions about the unique entity identifier? Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. All right, so the funding amount. This ABC grant is for funding requests for up to $5,000. Funds requested may be listed in up to 4 expense categories in the projected project expenses section of the application. This will make more sense once you begin your application process and begin uploading your budget to ask for up to $5,000. You don't have to ask for the full $5,000, just as much as your project needs to cover. You may not be awarded the full $5,000, but there's options to adjust your budget and your request amounts and expense categories as you go through the application project. It's important to note as well that ABC is a non-matching grant. You do not have to have $5,000 already to apply for this. So the funds for proposed projects for the ABC grant must occur between, I'm sorry. So to be awarded this grant, the project that you are proposing must occur between August 15th, 2026 or June 15th, 2027. So if you are looking to do a project that will occur on or around Juneteenth, contact myself or Melissa, and we will work with you to make sure that we can make that clear to the Tennessee Arts Commission so that your Juneteenth project can be considered for the application, even though it is past this deadline. We love Juneteenth. We love Juneteenth projects. We're very excited and hope that project for Juneteenth will be submitted, and we're happy to work with you to make sure that you are awarded, even though it falls outside of this occurrence timeline. So other funding restrictions, things to know as you begin to propose your project. ArtsBuild Communities Grant funds may not be used to support a project already funded by the Tennessee Arts Commission. So if you are currently a commission grantee, you cannot layer funding and apply for an additional grant until that project has ended. For capital improvements such as construction expenses or equipment purchases, those are not allowed. For the elimination of an accumulated deficit, that is not allowed. For in-school or curriculum-based projects, for endowments, and for out-of-state travel. These are all funding requests that will not be granted by the ABC grant. So the budget. So there will be an expense table, and in this table, you will detail what you project to use project funds for. So in the fiscal year of 26, although ABC does not, that's 27, sorry. Although ABC does not require a match, applicants should use their other projected expenses column when project costs exceed the ABC request. So essentially they're saying that they would like to know the full, we'll hold for silence. Okay. So when you submit your budget and your budget table, the project would like, we would like you to detail what the full for your project, which includes the up to 5 of the ABC grant. So this is just one line item or up to 4 line items for the ABC grant. And then any other funding that is required or has already been acquired to complete your project. We would just like to see that all laid out in your budget table. We'd also like for you to explain a little bit about what these funds are being used for. And then also applicants will be required to identify the sources are coming from that exceed the ABC request. So anything outside of the $5,000 that you're getting from the ABC grant, what is it? Where does it come from?
I'll jump in here, Brianna, just to give some tips on the budget. So if you're using local travel, I would look up the IRS 2026 mileage rate and base it on that. And if you're going to use volunteers with your project, which is fantastic, look up the volunteer rate per hour. I think it's around $31 an hour. Showing that support is pretty vital to these projects. It demonstrates that there is a lot of community support. And also, Brianna made a mention of what if you are not awarded the full request? And so what I generally advise individuals to do is create a project that has different layers. So let's say it comes back and you're awarded, which is great, but you're only awarded 88% of what your asked was. And so what you would do, you could look at your project and delayer a part of it. And it's the core and the foundation of your project remains the same, but there's maybe a component part that you have to shift out or shift forward in a different way. And then that way, if you're not awarded 100%, your project isn't disabled. And if you need support in that, Brianna's great at that. I'm great at that. We can support you through that process.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay. So appropriate activities. The majority of projects are requests for artist fees or outside fees, curation and presentation of the arts. Other expenses that may be covered as well include supplies, rentals, marketing costs, salaries, benefits, and taxes, and in-state travel. Non-allowable activities. The following are examples of activities and expenditures not fundable through ABC. Expenses for projects occurring during regular school hours. Cash awards, capital improvements, food, out-of-state travel, projects that do not engage the general public. So like private fundraiser would be an example of that. I want to make sure that we say this to you and so that you understand, so that if you're looking to propose a grant project that covers any of these categories, you may not be awarded by the ABC grant. So there are arts education, sirens again. All right. So there are arts education restrictions to this funding. So arts education-based projects should be submitted in one of the 5 Tennessee Arts Commission Arts Education Grant categories. So community learning, art pathway for youth success, teacher training, student ticket subsidies, and Arts 360 are Tennessee Arts Commission grant that are reserved for arts education project. So if you're leaning more into something art education based, we would refer you to these Tennessee Arts Commission grants as opposed to the ArtsBuild Communities grant. So as you begin your application, we also want to note that there are 2 supporting documents you need for the application. One is your list of board of directors, and this is the most up-to-date current list with full name, email address, number of years on board, and length of their term. Secondly, you will need your corporation annual report. Only nonprofit applicants are required to upload this, and it needs to be the most recent, which is within the last 12 months. Okay, so going into how we determine which projects are awarded, there is an evaluation criteria. It's up to a 100-point scale, and there are 4 categories in which we score ABC community art grants. So the first is artistic cultural merit, and that is up to 35 points. We also have community engagement and participant up to 35 points. Budget and financial support, 20 points, and operational practice, 10 points. The Tennessee Arts Commission um, does make the funding decision, but we here at ArtsBuild recommend local community members to be a part of their funding panel to help them review and score the grants that are submitted.
And I'll jump in here about scoring. This refers back to what Brianna was talking about when, let's say, you're awarded but not at full percentage, full 100% percentage. So how it works, allocation works under the Tennessee Arts Commission and this grant is the applications are ranked. So the highest ranking one gets the highest percentage of their ask. And then we flow down. So let's say someone scored a 98% and they're awarded 100% of their ask. Well, the next applicant, let's say, scored a 96%. So we cannot give them 100% of their ask. So we could flow it down to 99% or 98, and then we just move down the line in that respect. There is a cutoff, so we don't disable your project by providing too low of a percentage, but I just wanted you to know how that works. So Your goal is to be the highest scoring or very highly scored. So that's where the draft review that Brianna and I and also myself can step in and support you to get the highest score available.
Any questions on that? You can chat or unmute. Okay. So review panels. Locally organized peers review panels will review applications in late July or August. ArtsBuild will send an email confirming receipts of your application as well as a panel review schedule. So this is before the completed submitted process. You get a chance to have your application reviewed so that any clarifying questions can be asked and any corrections to your application that strengthen it can be made. So what happens if you are funded? Here's a funded next steps. So we start with a contract where we'll sign agreeing to the terms of the grant, and then you will go into a request for the first payment. So all the funds for the ABC grant are not awarded immediately. You start with 40% of the funding award. Um, if you are one of those people whose whose grant request was not fully funded, as Melissa was detailing, you will have to submit a revised budget for the amount that you were awarded. So if it wasn't 100%, 99, 98, or whatever that looks like, we'll revise your budget to reflect the award amount that you were received, and then we'll have that approved and make that the guideline for how you move forward with your funding award request. We also require a title training, and all of this is due by October 1st. So here are just some other links to help support you in your grant application process. We recommend visiting the Tennessee Arts Commission website. There's a lot of details and guidelines and more step-by-step examples of everything that we're talking about here so that you can really see how the process of applying for this grant happens. You can find the resources you need if you are not within the Hamilton County and you need to find your designated agency, or if you have an arts-based project and you need to find the right grant for that purpose. All right, that's all we have for our presentation on the ABC Arts Grant. Reminder that I am Brianna Jones. I will be managing our ArtsBuild Communities Grant. Please contact me via email with any questions you may have or additional support that you may need. Any questions right now? Awesome.
Yes,
So,
Brianna,
yeah.
I had a question. Are you ready to hear from your audience?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm with Saudi Daisy and Montlake Historical Association, and Steve Smith is here with us also. We're a registered nonprofit here in Saudi Daisy. So glad y'all are reaching out into the community. So I don't know if you saw my notes, but that mural that was done by Keep Saudi Daisy Beautiful at the Wimpy's had sparked. We now have like 3 or 4 murals on other buildings within town where, businesses have done that. So it's just amazing how it's kind of opened the door. If working in that timeline, if it begins in August, and I forget what the end date is, if you have like a call for artists or you're trying to arrange the artist for our particular project, is that something you can do ahead of time? Because I know that can take some time if you're, going through a selection process and working with your board and determining, themes and that sort of thing. Um, and then, or does that need to, like, that needs to happen within the time period of the project? Or is it something, like I said, can you get a little bit of that type of work done ahead of time? Like call for artist and a selection?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend the project needs to happen within that timeline window. So that's August 15th to June 15th. But I would recommend doing that call to artists ahead of time. Melissa, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree with Brianna. The call of artists, what I would do on that call is to have the caveat it's dependent on funding. If it is, I would assume
Mm-hmm.
it is. Um, as long as any expenses that you're detailing on your expense sheet for this grant happens
Mm-hmm.
within that time frame. So it actually, in your application, you can talk about like, we've started some call to actions already, but everyone's aware that when the grant project dates run. So yeah, just as long as you explain it and expenses fall within the project range is fine.
Okay. So even like for a graphic artist, along with if you use a, a fine arts or painter, those types of things you could kind of work out ahead, at least through selection process or get quotes. And I was going to ask the other is if like we have a lot of local artists, if an artist were to do it pro bono and donate their services, is that something that is beneficial in your budget or showing in kind or matches? Is that something that's good to be able to show and provide
I, w-
donated
I would
services?
say that's a double edge. Here at ArtsBuild, we advocate for artists' work to be compensated fiscally.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if an artist does make the choice to donate their services, that is a choice they get to make. Does it hurt or help? That I don't know. It depends on the reviewers in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's like they do a percentage of their rate as a gift back into their community and they're paid enough,
That, yeah,
something
that
like
sounds
that.
more
Maybe
doable.
find the balance of it. Um,
Yeah, and do an honorarium or
mhm.
that sounds more likely. Well, I just say that because we have some that are retired and they just paint prolifically and I could,
Yeah,
just see something like that coming up. Well, thank you. That
absolutely.
answers some questions I had. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions from anyone? We're doing great on time, so I'll take a few minutes to just kind of show you the Tennessee Arts Commission website.